podcast, wide open woke sessions. Mind, body, soul, no second guessing. Spilling truths, no sugarcoat dressing. Wisdom hunting, cash and knowledge blessing. Hands to the streets, wide open and woke. Eyes on the prize, ain't no time for jokes, lies and eyes. These chains we roll, truth on the mic, destiny and vote. Hands to the streets, wide open.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? This is Audi Rod with Wide Open World Podcast, coming to you with information that make you want to say, wow, did I know that already? No, I didn't know that. Man, check this out. Y'all been paying attention to that three-eye atlas situation that's going on right now? Man, this stuff is kind of deep, man. That thing has not came from behind that sun yet. So that's where the last location that everybody has been like, I believe every telescope in the world is probably looking over next to that sun to see where this thing is going to come out at. Okay, now if it was a true comet, which they said all along before it even got behind the sun, this thing ain't gonna have no characteristics like a comet. Okay, no characteristics like a comet. But yet, the thing changed colors, changed formation, boo, boo, boo. Next thing you know, it got behind the sun. At a time where we need our satellites that are in that area that can view that area. But guess what? They are ran by NASA. And guess what? NASA's down because the government's down because it's part of the government. Now they can see what's going on. Are they going to let y'all know? Nope. They're not going to let you know jack doo-doo. They're going to keep going on and keep this a secret. But how convenient it is. Oh, how convenient it is to have the government shut down about this time when we don't know what the hell is about to happen. How are you going to have this? How are you going to just handle this, something that's just sitting out there? Now, I did come on a story that puts out this news information, but they do it in a nice, calming way where you can sit back and chill like a bedtime story. But these are all news reports from the scientists that are writing this down, and you guys have not been paying attention to it. They've been recording information on this stuff for the longest, and they've been writing about it. Would it hit mainstream? Nope. But that's what it's our job to come out here and let you guys know about this information. But this guy says he does it in a way where it's more like a bedtime story. But hey, when you hear it, it's like, man, it sounds like a bedtime story, but this is true news. That is already being put out. He just going and rereading it and putting it, make it sound like a bedtime story. They're going to lie you into an invasion. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and play this right quick. And I want you to see this, what I'm talking about. You got to see this. You got to see it. Let's start here.
Right now, as you settle in, an object moving at an incredible speed, over 210,000 kilometers per hour, is silently hiding behind our sun. This visitor, 3-Eye Atlas, just reached its closest point to our star. The object vanished from our direct view during what should have been its most active phase, and the silence from official agencies has been deafening.
Yeah, shut down.
The mystery began because the timing was bizarre. NASA went dark during a suspiciously timed government shutdown. Crucial high-resolution images from the Mars flyby remain locked away, officially classified under national security exemptions. Yet, outside of official channels, serious discussion began immediately. Harvard's Avi Loeb states there is a significant 40% chance that this object is not of natural origin. Why this doubt? Because this object seems to defy the very laws of physics.
There you go.
Its orbital path aligns with our planetary movements with an impossible precision. An alignment so statistically rare, it happens only 5 times in a million calculations. Furthermore, despite being highly active and losing material, 3-Eye Atlas has remained locked onto its precise trajectory, suggesting it either possesses an immense mass, at least 33 billion tons, or uses some form of active course correction. This body is potentially 7 billion years old,
Wow.
a messenger from an earlier epoch of galactic history older than our own sun. The cosmic puzzle deepens when we look backward in time. Calculations show that in 1977, the object's location aligned almost perfectly with the direction of the famous WOW signal. That single 72-second burst of radio energy detected 48 years ago had only a 0.6% chance of aligning randomly with 3I Atlas's position. If that signal was transmitted by 3I Atlas, it required the immense power output of a nuclear reactor. Simultaneously, while official science went dark, people trained in perception-based intelligence, known as remote viewers, began to psychically probe the object. Their independent sessions were consistent and deeply unsettling. They described not a comet.
Let me before y'all get into this part. Remote viewers. Okay. Remote viewing is something that they discovered back in the 50s, the 60s, where they were doing, the government had got a hold of this information. And they were testing it out to see how real it was. And it was very real. They were actually having people who were good, like psychics. Yeah, they were messing with psychics. Yes, they were. And they were having them to like portray their consciousness out onto a certain location. They wouldn't know the exact location. They'll get the coordinates, but they'll put their consciousness out there. And then they would write down what they would see in their consciousness. Right now, they've been doing this for years, and they've been doing it, spying on each other, and it actually works. And it's a high percentage of it came across as true, and they proved that it does work. Put it this way, so we know that it works. But it's funny that the government all of a sudden they getting kind of nervous about what's going to happen, so they called their psychics and had them do a little remote viewing on this situation. They want to know what it is. Now they about to tell y'all. Let's get it back into this.
But a mothership, kilometers in scale, containing millions of dormant beings, a fusion of biological and mechanical elements. Adding to this account is the explosive story that emerged from a CERN insider, claiming scientists there had opened a dimensional portal. They allegedly received a telepathic message, heard simultaneously by everyone present. We come in peace. We are here to gather the star seeds of this planet. 3I Atlas now forces humanity to confront a critical choice as it emerges from behind the sun, particularly during the critical window around December 2025.
Wow.
Predictions suggest it will either fragment harmlessly or execute a calculated maneuver. Remote viewers anticipate the potential deployment of swarms of smaller, possibly self-replicating probes.
Wow.
Calculations show that the orbital window for these probes to reach Earth is between November 21st and December 5th. This December focus is seen as the critical juncture,
November 21st.
the moment when our collective timelines fork. This journey requires us to examine what happened.
Wait a minute. They said between November 21st to December 5th is when this stuff is supposed to reach us, or I guess where you'll find out what's going to happen, because it'll be out from behind that sun, and we'll see what's going to happen then. But we got until then to see what this thing going to do. Either it's going to burn up behind that sun, or it's going to come out. But it's something to be aware of, because is this going to be one of them situations? Okay, they behind the sun, now they can do a switcheroo. The old switching of the hands. All right, switch that out and let's put our thing in there. Poof, and they come around there from behind the sun. When they got a big old mothership of their own, and they come out and they, do their little Armageddon thing or whatever, how they going to do to scare all the Christians into doing something crazy. Anyway, yeah. You don't know what kind of they're going to come out with. But this is some stuff that they got stuff. The way they got stuff set up right now with the government being shut down, you cannot even fathom. This is nothing but a recipe for something strange to really happen. Because with all the distractions that got y'all going on every which way, you know, from the Beyonce concerts that's going crazy and people tripping out and having stampedes, and to other stuff going on in the news dealing with uh the CEOs are getting killed from different situations from other, I could say, okay, unalived. Um then we got congressmen being unalived, and there's a numerical 47 number behind that too, that's dealing with some high masonry stuff. That stuff that's happening out here that you guys don't really, do you really want to know, or you just want to keep being blind? I think you want to be blind. Anyway, I'm here to say what it's got to be happening anyway. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. They're going to show up. They're already here, for one thing, because on the planet it's a different vibration. See, energy, vibration, and frequency are real. If this was something that they had taught us growing up in school in the very beginning, instead of start decalcifying our pineal glands and indoctrinating us from the ages between ages 1 and 7, if we would have been taught this, we would not have been under the control and under the rule that we are now. Oh, we ain't under control. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You was under control. You under fear. You was all programmed. Oh yeah, we were all programmed. See, and now you are programmed with to believe, what to think, and how to feel when you see these certain things. Okay, their job is to show you. We're gonna show you. We're gonna show you how we control you. We're gonna show you some things that you're gonna think, oh, that's just make believe. But see, our job is to show you. Now, how you perceive it is make believe, because that's the way we programmed you to look at it as. So you would never look this way. So when you see the Disney, or you see something see the magic happens, you would be like, "Oh, that's make believe." That was a good little storyline. Wasn't that entertaining? Yeah, it was entertaining, but it was some real shit, because we showed you. Our job is, that's what they're saying, is to show you, so it will work. You take it in and perceive it to how we program for you to perceive it. Okay. Now, the enlightening part of it is when everybody wake up. Everybody's like, "Oh, we wait for Jesus to return." Jesus has returned. I got that. Go back and look at my last video. Jesus has returned. Christ consciousness has already arrived. People are waking up. That is the return right there. Y'all waiting for him to come down in the clouds in the sky? That ain't gonna happen. Because if he was gonna do that, he would have been done did it by now, and it ain't gonna happen. I promise you that. But he is here. His consciousness and everybody is waking up. So let's go ahead and go back to see what we're looking at here, because this is deep. Because these remote viewers got some views, and y'all need to hear these views of these remote
If the
viewers.
whistleblowers, the prophets, and the scientists are all seeing pieces of the same unbelievable truth,
Mm.
what happens when we bypass telescopes and instead rely on consciousness itself as the instrument of discovery? Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Mind's Eye. As we turn our attention from the silent object hiding behind the sun, we must settle into a deeper, slower inquiry. We ask, what happens when you intentionally bypass our most powerful telescopes? When you set aside spectrometers and the strict, rigid models of mathematics, and instead rely solely on consciousness itself as the instrument of discovery? What happens when you ask the human mind to perceive something millions of miles away, something moving at impossible speeds, something that may not even be what we think it is? The answers, as it turns out, are both profoundly unsettling and yet remarkably consistent across a group of independent observers who had no contact with each other. This practice is known as remote viewing, or RV. It is a structured, detailed protocol for gathering information about distant or unseen targets using what is often referred to as extrasensory perception. To understand the weight of this testimony, we must first understand the methodology. Remote viewing was developed initially in secret by agencies like the CIA and the Stanford Research Institute during the height of the Cold War. The methodology involves strict controls and blind conditions, ensuring that the viewer has no conventional information about the target. They are given only an alphanumeric code, nothing visual, no descriptions, no contextual clues about what they are supposed to perceive. Total informational blindness. Although largely dismissed by mainstream science as pseudoscience, the program nevertheless produced results during military applications that were statistically compelling, succeeding often enough that the Pentagon continued to allocate funding for over 2 decades. They used it to locate Soviet submarines, to describe foreign installations, and even to attempt predictions of geopolitical events. In August 2025, a dedicated group decided to turn this controversial tool toward 3I Atlas. They designated the object target number 77483-050. They assembled 6 experienced remote viewers, each with years of training and documented success in previous complex projects.
Listen.
The target cue was simple. What is the true nature of the object named 3I Atlas and its path through our solar system? What emerged from their sessions was extraordinary, not because the evidence definitively proves anything, but because of the deep convergence. 6 independent viewers working separately produced descriptions that overlapped in highly specific, often technical details. They all described a bizarre combination of elements, something simultaneously biological and artificial, fused together in ways that defy our current categories of life or technology. Every single viewer noted this duality. They used words commonly associated with human engineering, like fuselage, hull, shell, and metallic. But immediately alongside these terms were organic descriptions such as slimy, gel-like, organic, and porcelain-like. This was clearly a fusion of machine and life, suggesting a technology that incorporates living elements or a life form that has been mechanized and armored. Multiple viewers reported sensing a vast, 3-dimensional shape that was essentially hollow inside. They described complex, controlled internal environments, complete with observational windows, viewing chambers, and sophisticated research facilities.
Whoa, now this is something they talking about. They're seeing a whole ship with research facilities and everything that's on the ship, and they're seeing that entities that are on this ship. They're saying they see a ship. And all this time they're saying there was a comet. Man, now if these particular remote viewers are on point, something coming. Something coming. And they already knew something coming. They may have known that they were already going to come because there's a convenient shutdown because they don't want nobody to come and asking them no questions. You know, during that drone situation, governor, everybody kept hollering to the government. They want to demand answers, and they never got their answers. We want to know why. We got drones flying over the military sites, what they were doing, and they were actually the orbs are actually controlling the military codes. They were switching on and off the nukes. They was letting them know that, hey, we got control of the nukes. So no matter what y'all try to do, y'all ain't setting off no more nukes. That's it. It's over with. No more nukes. That's why you ain't seen no more nukes since the World War II, because they were told not to. After all this time, people got all these nukes and everything. Yeah, we got some people that got a hold of some nukes too that shouldn't have no nukes. Like some dark forces that are on this planet that are being secretized, and you guys, this is beyond no stuff that would ever hit the news. This is the stuff that movies are made of. because they're trying to hold on to that last little bit of power because we're in the age of Aquarius and they're losing everything. Let's continue. Ooh, let's keep
This was
going.
not a random fragment of rock. This was a purposeful, designed space. They detailed intense energy dynamics, electrical discharge, a subtle static, a low, buzzing, pulsing sensation throughout the object. They perceived
that's a chip.
surfaces that exhibited a quiet, glowing light, sparkling with shifts in color. Some viewers noted edges that appeared rusted or discolored, suggesting the object was truly ancient, aged by unimaginable time in the cosmic void. One specific detail that emerged repeatedly in the drawings and notes concerned the emissions. One viewer, John
Man, the
Dixon,
connection on this.
meticulously drew images of an object decorated with lime green and bright white light emanating specifically from seams between hexagonal pattern sections.
Right.
He described how the white light appeared to turn green when exposed to what he presumed was oxygen, or perhaps through some intense, focused heat process involving underlying metallic layers. He drew what appeared to be various metals stacked in different layers, potentially vaporizing or sublimating under stress. This specific, unique description aligns uncomfortably well with some of the anomalies scientific telescopes have detected, the observation of pure nickel emissions without any corresponding iron. This chemical signature is bizarre for a natural comet, but it makes sense if the object is venting or exposing complex, industrial alloys designed for extreme durability and layered construction.
Sorry about that.
The lime green
We got
and
a
bright
booster coming
white
in
light
tomorrow,
from
so
hexagonal
next
seams
video will be like
suddenly
20
seems
interruptions.
less like a flight of fancy and more like a detailed technical observation of an active propulsion or thermal management system. Perhaps the most profound observation concerned the consciousness perceived within the vessel. Patricia, another viewer in the group, perceived crowded internal spaces utilizing technology beyond our current human capabilities. And critically, she perceived a non-human consciousness that possessed highly sophisticated communication abilities, but displayed a distinct, dismissive attitude toward human intelligence. Multiple viewers independently reported this sense of being observed back. The object, or whatever intelligence occupies it, was acutely aware of the remote viewing attempt, yet was largely uninterested.
Yeah, because they knew they
It
couldn't do
wasn't
nothing about it
hostility
anyway.
they felt, just profound indifference, much like a human might regard an insect attempting to observe a massive, silent spacecraft as it passes by. The implication is that this intelligence is operating on a scale, or perhaps a time scale, so vast that our concerns and our presence are merely background noise. John Dixon also reported an unsettling psychological detail. He mentioned that those inside, if there is an inside, seemed afraid of the outcome of their own plan. Fear implies anticipation, consciousness, and a high-stakes mission. Intelligent beings don't fear outcomes if they are not aware of the potential consequences. The data only deepens when we consider parallel RV projects. Bertie Josky, working under a different designation, focused her sessions on what she called echo impressions,
Yeah,
faint,
see,
reverberating signals.
just like I said, that they may wait till that time, then you may not be able to see that thing and say if it did burn up behind the sun, and then they came out with their own little hookup, that'll be it right there. They'll come out with their own little version of Alien, because that's what they'll have to do to imply fear upon you guys. Because you don't forget, they programmed you from the beginning about aliens. Remember, all the movies was about aliens that being being invaded. They had you guys being afraid of aliens. Then at one point they wanted you to be friends with aliens when ET was here. Oh, ET phone home. ET trying to get home. So you got the aliens between that the friendly ones like ET versus the other ones that Sigourney Weaver was fighting, them type of aliens. Then you had the warrior type aliens like the Predator, which they're all different types. The alien is actually a type of an alien that's real replica of a real alien. And there's one also like the face of the Predator. Yep. They went back. They know how to get those creations or recreate what they have from the past. What I like to do is get into that Tartarian type stuff, but you can go ahead and really get back. But we're gonna go back to this and see what we're gonna go back to because we only got a little ways to go on this right here.
Tied to the object's history. She and her team perceived 3I Atlas not as a newly arrived probe, but as a relic vessel from a long extinct Martian civilization.
Wow.
They described holographic echoes of glowing crystalline structures on the object's surface. The term they kept emphasizing was homing beacon, as if 3I Atlas is broadcasting low-level signals designed to awaken dormant technology, not only on Mars, but potentially on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, where subsurface oceans might harbor remnants of life. This perspective shifts the narrative from invasion to homecoming. If Mars once harbored an advanced civilization, a controversial hypothesis supported by certain isotopic evidence we will examine later, and if that civilization launched vessels before its catastrophic end, then an object returning billions of years later might simply be checking on the old neighborhood, attempting to reconnect with the descendants or relics, not strangers, but distant, silent relatives. But the most sensational and unsettling testimony comes from Sebastian Martin, a perception-based intelligence specialist who claims he was contacted by intelligence agencies and asked to remotely view 3I Atlas. What he perceived corroborated the physical descriptions. A massive mothership, kilometers in scale, packed with millions of dormant occupants.
Yeah, that's why I say
he
something
described
coming.
them using terms associated with powerful, hierarchical beings, reptilian or draconian, acknowledging that these terms are used descriptively for lack of any better vocabulary, signifying non-human entities held in a state of suspended animation. Simply,
Something coming. Something is coming. Everybody distracted. The government shut down. And something's coming. What's any other better time to be shut down is when we need the government to be awake? Wait a minute. There's another thing before y'all go. Think about this. If the government's shutting down, and we've been shut down, how is Trump out here doing all this stuff that he's doing? And he part of the government. How come he don't shut his ass down? How come he still out here doing, he's able to put out stuff, and the government shut down? Isn't Donald Trump, aren't you part of the shutdown? They said, yeah. Oh, okay. Think about it. Anyway, this is Audi Rob with the information that's coming at you right now. Is going to make you say, wow, what the mother fuck. Check this out. We're going to keep you up on this 3I Atlas because they all looking right now. Right now, every telescope in the world got this waiting to that one side of the sun, waiting for that thing to come around that sun. So you're going to come out of there with the boogie boo, or are they going to come out here as our ancestors, or we don't know what's going to come out of there. But from what the remote viewers are saying, it's a craft. and it's full of beings on that craft, and they are in animated suspension. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be fun. But anyway, stay with Audi Rob. We're going to keep you in contact with that, up the latest news on this baby right here. But yeah, it's going to be nice and it's going to be fun. We're going to be on for the whole ride. This is Audi Rob out, and peace.
Blast wide open, woke sessions. Mind, body, soul, no second guessing. Spilling truths, no sugarcoat dressing. Wisdom hunting, cash and knowledge blessing. Hands to the streets, wide open and woke. Eyes on the prize, ain't no time for jokes, lies and eyes. These chains we roll, truth on the mic, destiny and focus.